Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning? What do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me scream for the love of God.
Hey there, you.
With the sad face, come up to my place.
You are at my place.
I am at your place.
You're all at my place. Welcome, everybody. This is Good Movie Monday, the podcast that is dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. My name's Glenn Cochran. That other bloke is Ben Helwig. The reason that you're hearing this song right now is because, well, I watched Crocodile Dundee 1 and 2 over the last few days. So that's why. The crocodile fever is in me. And I may have crammed in number 3 as well.
Oh, well.
I know.
You've got no one else to blame but yourself for that one.
Pity the fool. They hold up pretty well, that first one.
I just like to watch them when they're on TV.
Yeah,
like, I don't want to watch them on TV because I don't want to watch them with the ads. But when they get programmed on TV, then I start watching them. I'm like, it's pretty good on the DVD.
You know, I thought actually it was interesting because I thought part 1 holds up really, really well. It is as good now as I remember it being. However, part 2 was a lot worse this time than I remember it being. The first half was great, and then the second they get back to Australia, it turns into a crime film, and he's like fucking chasing bad guys. That's not what I want from a
Mexican gangsters or whatever, Latino gangsters.
Louis Guzman's in there. That's funny.
What did I see? I saw Louis Guzman in something else.
Yeah, it's exactly. We'll talk about it later in the show.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah.
My recommendation, maybe?
Yeah, right.
That you probably watched, less than 24 hours ago?
Yeah, quite possibly.
We'll get to that. But anyway, this is what we are here to do. Just talk nerdy cinematic ramblings. And presumably that is what people are here to listen to. And if they're not, then why else? Like, what are you doing?
You picked the wrong show.
Yes. As always, we've got a pretty good show lined up for you, including an interview with the Aussie horror director, Kiah Roache-Turner. I always want to say Turner Roche. I always get hung up on that one. And there's me just highlighting the fact when I said it perfectly the first time. Oh, I'll never learn. It's his second appearance on the show. If you actually, if you include his Christmas message to us a couple of years ago, it's his third appearance on the show. He was here the first.
You should get him to do the Christmas messages when you actually interviewed them.
I've contemplated that with a few of them, but I don't know. Like, sometimes it doesn't feel right when there's publicists there. And,
when you have to deal with, when there's a middleman.
Yeah. Last time he was here, it was to chat about Wormwood Apocalypse. Now he's here to chat about his new spider creature feature, Sting, which opens in cinemas next week on the 18th. So that's all coming up a bit later. Make sure you hang around for it. But not before Jarrett makes his triumphant return in PE class, which, of course, is our weekly chat about the latest new releases on physical media, physical entertainment, if you will, i.e. 4K, Blu-ray, occasionally, if we're lucky, a little bit of DVD action.
Will sneak in.
Yes. The Boneheads will be here with their regular fun-size segment discussing movie monologues. And, what else? Socials. Where should they go? Just, you should have it verbatim by now.
They can go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X.
Yeah, all of it.
Spotify. Does Spotify count as a social media network?
Spotify.
I mean, you can put your playlist. You can make your playlist public. I had one person follow me once, I think, on Spotify.
Well, I mean, half of the playlists I listen to have been created by other people, so I guess that's social.
Yeah. I don't know how to get people to listen to my playlist, but they're usually pretty bad.
Good Movie Monday, the music. Also, you can find the podcast there as well. I mean, you might not be listening to us there right now, but you can.
Should be called You Can't Stop the Good Movie Monday music.
Nobody can.
Nobody can.
No.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And if you look under the desk, he is wearing chaps.
I am indeed.
Yeah. Something for the people watching the video, that is.
That way I can be both the bike rider or the Indian.
Yes, but don't worry. When I said for the people watching, this whole show is not available in video form. You're not missing out, but there are clips of it on our socials.
Who would watch?
GoodMovieMonday.com is also the website, so go to that and you'll find your way to everything else. Should we maybe do a bit of a shout out to a mate, Spooky's latest project? I noticed that Mr. Mark Hartley revealed his next film. He's been going at it on Facebook with the photos of interviews. Sweated out the wild untold story of Live and Loud Oz Rock.
Yeah, it's a follow-on from Not Quite Hollywood.
Yes, so I just thought that was interesting. Ran it by my colleagues, and we're all excited about the fact that there's this hopefully in-depth, documentary about Oz Rock.
There's no way it won't be.
Yes, but
in-depth.
It's been a great climate for Oz docos lately. The John Farnham one, the Michael Gudinski Mushroom one. So this one I'm really, really excited for. So just thought we'd give that a sprint. Go to the Facebook page.
He's shooting it right now.
That's right. Sweated out, and he's uploading photos of interviews as he's recording them. So, yeah, good stuff. Awesome. All right, I want to introduce a new segment to the show, Ben.
Oh.
One time only.
Okay.
Marketplace Monday. The hottest finds, the biggest gets, cheap-ass movies, and all the rest.
Marketplace Monday.
Never should have told you where I got that jingle bell.
Well, I don't even think it was the same place.
Probably not.
I just went to an AI voice generator there.
Oh, there's only one. He was in the same
right.
place.
So I found something on Marketplace that just really gave me a hard on, and I probably spent more petrol going to pick it up than I did the actual thing. It cost me $5. Are you ready for the big reveal? This is up your alley, mate.
Yeah, okay.
I've got to take my headphones off of this.
Wow.
This is a Danielle Steele 19-disc box set for $5. It's an umbrella release too.
That is amazing.
$5, mate.
Wow.
Mind you, I went to pick it up, right? And did drive a little bit of a distance, probably about a half an hour drive. And I swear to God, it was a drug den. And I felt really unsafe. And she handed this over to me for $5 like it was stolen.
But imagine being who's stealing this? It's like
That's why it's $5.
It's got to be worth something, right?
I know. Yeah, get stuck into it, mate. I can't wait.
This is like, oh, here we go. Danielle Steele's Full Circle, starring Corbin Burnson, Terry Polo.
They are full of fantastic casts.
And Reed Diamond from Homicide Life on the Street.
Uh-huh.
What's this one? Kaleidoscope. Ooh.
If
With Claudia Christian. I'm trying to guess the names without looking on the back. Claudia Christian, Jacqueline Smith, Perry King,
If you're
Colleen Dewhurst.
if you want to see what this looks like, go to Facebook and watch the video. I'll hold it up to the camera right now. Ben's taken a couple out of there. There you go, everyone. Look at that. 19 discs. $5. Couldn't believe it. And I will work my way through them. There's one about the Vietnam War in there that I'm really particularly looking forward to. Message from Nam. Look at that.
Danielle Steele wrote a NAM.
Yep.
Look at this one. Heartbeat. Their love grew from friendship, like the child inside her. With
John Ritter.
John Ritter.
Somebody at work said to me, "Why did you even buy it? Like $5, I get, like it's that's good value if you like this stuff. But why did you buy it?" I'm like, "That is a conversation for the show right there. It's an investment, and you know what? I will watch." Anyway, there we go, Ben. I just thought you'd be excited for that.
I am very excited. Is that Stacey Hyde?
And I did look it up.
It is Stacey Hyde with Robert Urich and the Night Stalker himself. Darren McGavin and Danielle Steele's A Perfect Stranger.
I looked this up on the Umbrella website. Obviously, it's out of stock, but it was retailing for $150.
Wow.
There you go.
You know, Kiah is going to be after this. He's collecting all the Umbrella DVDs.
Well, mate, $150.
Sold.
That's it. All right. Well, let's move on to another thing that we watched in the last few days, and this is the problem by introducing that segment to the start of the show, is that Ben's just going to be rummaging through this collection for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But we got to the cinemas to see The Bike Riders, the brand new, I guess, true story about the. It's a fictionalized account of the outlaw motorcycle gang and how they started, and for the life of me, I'm trying to think of the director, and it slipped my mind. Do you remember what his name is?
No.
It is the guy that made Midnight Special and Take Shelter, and it's essentially this one is a Scorsese movie. Godfather on Wheels is what I called it. What did you think of this one, Ben?
Yeah, look, I'm really
Distracted by Danielle Steele right now. Sorry, apologies, everybody.
I don't want to talk about bike riders. Yeah, look, I think I think you kind of after we watched it, you were like, "This is Scorsese light," and it kind of is. Like look, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was just going to be like what's the name of that stupid TV series with
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, kind of that kind of
Yep.
thing, which I was not particularly enthused about watching, but.
But I'm with you. This was better than I anticipated.
It was better than I thought, and I thought it could have gone a bit further in some instances, especially at the end, because it does have a very kind of Scorsese. My favorite part of Goodfellas is after they Robert De Niro starts bumping off everyone who was down with the robbery that he kind of pulled off, and there's a bit of a thing like that.
Yep.
Where they go through, but it's just not cool enough. There's a real wasted opportunity.
But what I did find interesting, and actually before that, the thing that you pointed out, which is quite right, is that this movie's been sold on Austin Butler's face. He's all over the posters, he's all over the marketing, doing all the interviews, but he's the third lead, really.
Yeah, totally.
He's not the central character here. It's all about Jodie Comer. Is that
Jodie Comer, yeah.
She's fantastic in this. And then you've got Tom Hardy, I'd say, in the second lead.
Yeah.
And interesting that you've got two Brits here, leading this big Americana movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But look, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Where was my train of thought going before I went back to fucking that?
You went back to fucking. Just get off my leg while we're talking about movies.
No, I've lost my train of thought. But it was.
You thinking about Danielle Steele's Star
No,
with Jenny Garth?
Yeah, I should never have bought this box set to the show this early.
And Terry Farrell from Star Trek.
Where was I going? No, so it was not as violent as I thought it was going. It could have been.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the kind of interesting things because it is basically about the start of a bicycle gang. Like they are, what's the name of their gang? They're the Vandals. Is that what they are?
They're the Vandals in this, yes.
And he basically just Tom Hardy basically just starts it. Like, he's got a motorcycle. All he does is think about motorcycles and talk about motorcycles. They've got a kind of a racing
It's a hobby group.
It's a hobby group,
Yeah.
and then he decides let's just have a riding group.
Yeah,
and then it
100%.
kind of
That's kind of the thing, isn't it? I thought, and I said this to you, like for most of the film, I thought these guys are a bit too cute and a bit too they're not hard enough to be the characters in this. But then when they show the real footage from the photos that the movie's based on, it's based on a photo book by a journalist. They look identical to those characters.
yeah, like slightly less good looking, but pretty. The casting is pretty spot on for just about everyone except for maybe Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
and Austin Butler.
Yeah, but Tom Hardy's great in it though.
But Tom Hardy's great, regardless of the fact that he doesn't really look like the guy. But because that's the part, it's a bit of a switch, and I think there's if anywhere, that's where the film kind of lets you down in that. There is no real bridging gap from when they go from just a bunch like truck drivers and mechanics and, buddies to being a violent gang.
Yep. And this is before the vets came in and really roughed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look, interesting. Very enjoyable. I will return to this when it's on streaming, I reckon. I'll give it another shot. It seemed to flow really nicely.
Yeah, look, it like the cruising they do in the film, it really did just kind of go along. And at first I thought that Jodie Comer was going to be pretty annoying, like when it started off.
With her accent, the thick sort of... Where were
the
they?
problem is that she's basically the narrator of the film.
Yep.
That's the whole film is under the guise of the guy writing the book that it's based on.
Yep.
And she's pretty much the one who does all the talking. Mm-hmm. So she narrates the film. And at first, I thought it was a bit of a gimmick, and I was like, I don't know about this. But then once it gets going, she really helps.
And the interviews take place over time in different locations. I thought that was really a good little device.
They didn't do any kind of job at aging any of them.
No, of course not.
If it wasn't for the number coming up on the screen,
Yep.
you wouldn't know that they'd aged.
Yeah. So definitely, I think, worth a look. But an interesting thing I found about this particular evening, Ben, is that it's almost like you and I walked into some kind of portal to a parallel dimension, because lo and behold, who do we see walking up the aisle? Biker Glenn and Skinny Ben.
Yeah.
Swear to God, our
Yeah.
doppelgangers. Me with a biker jacket and Ben
And
looking
a
rather
forked beard almost.
yes, and then Ben looking rather slim and fantastic.
Yeah.
There.
But still, I think I joked to you, like that guy heard us talking. He was like, no one's ever called me slim before.
So there we go, Biker Glenn, Skinny Ben. Hi guys, it's nice to have
Hope you're listening.
Yeah, nice
if you
to
know
have,
who you are, write in.
riding or riding.
Let's talk about Danielle Steele movies.
All right, well,
on
while
Facebook.
you have a little gander at that, let's just bring Jared into the conversation.
Kelly Rutherford, Chris Sarandon, and Simon McCorkindale. Danielle Steele's No Greater Love.
You have to be present for this next segment, mate. Jarrett's back, and thank fuck for that, mate. Welcome back.
I've spent the last 2 weeks working at the wharves. Awfully frosty there, but that's the first place you can get the physical media once it ships in. I find if you're just waiting on the dock and they crack those shipping containers open, you can get right in there, and rather than waiting, 2-3 weeks for it to hit store shelves.
Have they been
get in there before the John West guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and admittedly, everything smells of fish, but
I was going to say, have they pre-wrapped them at that stage?
Yeah, everything's ready to go.
Okay.
It's yeah. You just got to watch out because sometimes they sneak a few human cargo in there with them as well. Because most of the discs are coming out of Mexico these days.
Yes.
So yeah, just got to watch out for the human cargo.
I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah,
And the nose beers. They come with a free nose beer. Every release
every fifth Blu-ray is basically a nose beer.
A nose beer. Yeah.
That's the plot
Well, I
for
guess-
Lethal Weapon 5, by the way.
I'll pay to watch that. Oh God, yeah, but wow, yeah. I was just thinking.
It's happening.
kinda
Mel's
dark, isn't
directing it.
Oh wow! Okay, well that's excellent news. Yeah, absolutely. Oh well, I look forward to the press tour when he can reveal some of the secrets of inner Hollywood. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one.
That's the plot.
Well, now he's in his best position. Now he can make it without the Jews, and he'll be happy. The Palestinians will be happy. All of the kids on the college campus, like Mel's been going off about the Jews for years.
It's called Lethal Weapon 5 Hamas Takedown.
All right, so let's get on to this week's releases. Kind of on topic in a way. Kind of a film about, I guess, inner conflict. Is Civil War. It's out this week on 4K Blu-ray and DVD. It's good to see Roadshow doing a 4K release of this, and the local release just mirrors the Lionsgate release in the US, so you've got the exact same content, which means you've got Atmos on the 4K and Blu-ray. Plus, there is a 6-part documentary on this one, which totals to about an hour. So it's a pretty extensive making of documentary, and to me, that's kind of better than a commentary track because it's visual in that nature. And then there's a trailer as well. So it's a pretty good release. I still have not seen it, but it is one I'm keen to look at.
I
from
loved
home.
it. Really loved it.
Oh,
Well,
good. Alex Garland
the
rarely
best thing-
makes a misstep. So, yeah.
The best thing about it is that it's bridge Jesse Plemons. He's not super skinny yet, but he's not super fat either.
He's not all kinds of kindness where he looks a bit emancipated.
But no matter what size he is, his head's always big.
Big, yeah. He's got that big Hollywood actor head.
I mean, I can't talk.
And Kirsten Dunst is in it, isn't she?
Yes, she's the
Because
lead.
they're kind of a package deal to some degree with some of these features these days.
Yeah, when they did Fargo together, they were great in that.
Yeah, they were really good. Yeah, absolutely. So that one's out. Roadshow's pretty much the only distributor putting stuff out this week. But admittedly, it's all pretty damn good content. The other release is Challenges.
Yep.
It's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. Looking forward to catching up with that one. I didn't get to see that one theatrical. Did have a friend say to me the most unbelievable thing about this film is the fact that she would have any interest with the two male leads because they're both ugly as sin. So, yeah, okay.
It's a power
I
play.
was like,
It's a power
oh.
play thing though with her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the most sex you'll have with clothes on. This movie.
Although one of the
Okay,
guys,
excellent.
one of the guys, in
Dry
it,
humping.
one of the guys, the arguably the pretty one, which
He's no Tom Holland,
which
obviously.
one is that?
Is it the one
Do
from
you think
Bike
it's
Riders or
contractual?
the one from The
He's in
Crown?
Bike Riders, yeah.
Is it contractual with Tom Holland that he says, I don't mind what you do in the movies just as long as the guys don't look as good as me? Because she's been opposite Timothy Chalamet and now she's opposite these two lads and they're not what do they call them in Hollywood? The Timothy, what is
the
it? Rat-faced men or
rat
something?
face, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's a contractual thing because admittedly Tom Holland is a good-looking chap and he's got a very youthful veneer. I mean, I think he's in his late 20s or something and he still looks like
I
he's
don't know. But before, did you say
yeah.
dry humping or dry umping?
dry humping.
Because dry umping.
Dry umping would have been a great pun. Yes. I wish I had thought I should have just agreed. Should have agreed with that one. So that one's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. Then Roache are releasing a classic from the Warner Archives, which I'm sure you're very excited about. Purple Rain, hitting 4K Ultra HD. Very exciting. And they've gone to the effort of doing an all-new Atmos track, which makes perfect sense for this film. The only thing that's really disheartening about this release is it is a 4K Ultra HD only release, which means you don't get a Blu-ray component, and they've cut down on the amount of special feature content. There's no new special feature content. There's just less special feature content. You lose I think there's about 4 or 5 extras you lose, and some of those extras were running at like half an hour each, like the backstage pass and anyway, but you do get all the music videos, you get the audio commentary, and I think you get the trailer.
That release should come...
And a featurette.
It should come with an empty flip tray so you can keep your Blu-ray and stick it in there.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm going to do. I'm hoping I'll just put a little thing in there and put the Blu-ray straight in. I mean, I recommend everyone to do that because you can probably still pick up the Blu-ray at JB for like $7, maybe even $4 on a 20% off sale.
I wish I had kept all of my flip trays when I had the video store because I had thousands of them.
I could imagine. I've kept so many.
Yeah.
I've kept so many. It's just about finding the right one to fit the right case. Right. And it's an agonizing thing. But anyway, that one's coming out on 4K. And by all reports, the 4K transfer is phenomenal. So I'm really excited to check that one out. Then the last one that's coming out from Roadshow this week is DVD only, but I need to mention it because Glenn, I know you'll be all over it. Darkness of Man, which is the new Jean-Claude Van Damme DTV movie.
Yep. Absolutely. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm keen.
No. Excellent. Oh, yeah, that's it. And I mean, there's some other crap that's coming out, but it's not worth talking about. It's only on DVD, and let's face it, it doesn't star Jean-Claude Van Damme, so we'll just pretend it's
nobody cares what they are.
No, bugger them. I mean, And then I do have a little bit of news too I want to share is that Studio Canal have just revealed that on August 7th, they're releasing a few of their classics remastered titles. They're coming out on 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray and DVD. We've got The Conversation, the Francis Ford Coppola classic, but no, Ben, we aren't getting the ridiculous box set that includes the cassette tape and all of that. It's going to be 4K only. So
interesting cover art on that one.
It is, yeah. They're doing some different things, the old Studio Canal, when it comes to revisiting the classics. I mean, I don't know when the studios will get the memo of just put the original theatrical key art on the covers. That's what we want, especially when you're buying classics remastered.
Yep.
That's effectively one of the actual interesting things I've seen lately is that Criterion in the States have announced Todd Solondz's Happiness on 4K and Blu-ray, and they've actually kept the original key theatrical art. They've just changed the color pattern. Palette a little and shifted some of the characters around on it. But I was really pleased because I think that was just one of the most appealing posters because it just draws you in and you don't know really what you're in for.
Is that one being released in widescreen? Because I think that film was always like 4.3, wasn't it?
I think it is widescreen. I think my US DVD might even be in widescreen, but yeah, the local release, it was like through New Vision, which was distributed through like Kaleidoscope or something like that at the time. I'm pretty sure that was just them doing the 4:3 nonsense because they didn't source widescreen transfers.
I'm all for new artwork, but that's why you do a flip.
Yeah, have the option. Have the option.
Artwork.
I agree. Have the option to do sort of, you know, that way it puts it on the consumer.
Yep.
One of the things I really like what Screen Factory's doing of late is they've released all of these films on Blu-ray and now they're upgrading them to 4K, but now that they're doing the 4K, they are actually doing the original key art. And it's a good point of difference because they're doing it on their slip cases. I don't know if they're actually doing it on the newly commissioned art from the Blu-rays on the flip or not. But anyway, I'm really digging that, and I'm slowly upgrading every one of them as I go. So The Conversation, Soldier Blue, and also the Francis Ford Coppola film One from the Heart is making it. I don't know if we're going to get both the theatrical and the encore version in the local release. I know the UK, they released a 4-disc set, which had, both versions of the film on 4K and on Blu-ray. Here, I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully, Studio Canal will just at least do both films on 4K.
Yep. Cool.
Soldier Blue holds a very, very special place in my heart because I used to when I used to work in alternate worlds, we used to have this customer who'd come in once in a while. He was always wearing a suit. He always looked very kind of put together, but he would go on and on about all of the pissing scenes.
I knew this was that story.
Yeah.
I knew. I just knew.
I thought it was going to be that.
His big one was Soldier Blue.
I thought
he's gonna
Soldier
be
Blue was it's also the it's a pet name for Ben's dick.
Beaten to a pulp. Pulp. Soldier Blue, though, interesting though, is that obviously it's been out locally on DVD before. I don't think it's made it to Blu-ray locally before, and of course it's a 4K debut. But the film's been reclassified, so its previous rating, when it passed uncut, in the version that's widely available, because there's this, other version of the film that was heavily trimmed down, and I don't think there's any existing elements of that, and we're never going to see it. But it was M, uncut locally. Now they've bumped it up to an R. So without any new content being added, I mean, yeah, there may be some special features, but I can't see that shifting the rating.
Is
from
the rating changed because like social norms and sensitivities have changed?
I'd say you're correct, yeah, because there is a lot of Native Americans being brutally slaughtered.
I think it was there was some
screen.
brutal rape in it. Like that's
And there is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's sexual violence. I mean, there's violence for a film of its time. It's still very graphic and quite disturbing. But anyway, you'll be able to enjoy that in the ultra high definition. Sadly, no Atmos though. So there's that. Then the last release I want to mention that's coming out on August 7th. Also, this one's coming out from Paramount via All Interactive Distribution, and it's a bit of a show favorite, Election.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. 4K Ultra HD. I think I only upgraded to that bloody Criterion Blu-ray maybe a year ago, but now I'm going to get the 4K. And let's face it, I know it's not going to have the Criterion special features. So it's one of those films I'm going to hold 2 copies of, but definitely worth it. Yeah.
Is there anything...
As long as it's got the Taxi Ride music video on it, that's all I ask.
Is there anything better than that milkshake scene? Like...
So good. Oh yeah, no, the scene where he's scrubbing his penis in the
and that has the movie Fill Me Up, yeah. The scene Fill Me Up.
The scene,
Fill Me Up.
Yes.
Different heads.
Yeah.
And do you want to come back to my house and have a hot tub and fuck?
Yeah.
That was Klein's line or something. Yeah,
mate,
God,
I'm getting that.
It's
that
such a
great
revisit. Movie. I'm excited. Now, I did want to give a little bit of a focus to a title I visited recently.
Mm-hmm.
This is a local release from Imprint, Catacombs. Now, it also has another title. It was also known as The Woman Who Wouldn't Die. Mm-hmm. And this is a film that I had not seen, but I seeked it out because the director, it's directed by a chap named Gordon Hessler, and he directed a bunch of TV movies throughout the 70s and 80s, one of which I'd watched recently, Scream Pretty Peggy, which I really enjoyed with Bette Davis. But he also was responsible for directing 2 of my favorite 80s action movies with Sho Kosugi, Rage of Honor and Pray for Death. So it's just baffling. Yes. Absolute classic films, man. Like, I reckon I'll revisit those 2 at least every 2 years. But yeah, so he directed this. This is his first feature film from 1965. Black and white Hitchcockian thriller from the UK. I don't want to say too much to the story, but I will mention basically it's a man who's plotting to kill his wife because he's fallen in love with his niece. His niece is on his wife's side of the family, so there's no incest involved, just immoral sort of activity and decisions as such. And he does succeed in murdering her, but she begins to haunt him and his niece. And it's a really cool little film. I wouldn't say, look, yeah, I'm just trying to think. It's pretty contained, but it just works. It's just genuinely suspenseful, and like I said, very Hitchcockian. And funnily enough, I think the first thing that Gordon had done prior to directing this feature was a episode of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense. And of course, being an imprint release, it's got one of those snazzy slip cases.
A lot of those imprint releases are first time viewings for me.
Oh, likewise. Yeah,
Yeah.
likewise. I really, and for the most part, I rarely have a regrettable buy.
Yeah.
I'm usually bowled over by the films. And this one's got a 4K restoration. It's the first time this restoration's appeared anywhere. Yeah, in fact, it's a Blu-ray debut anywhere. And there's a ton of special feature content that's been all commissioned for this specific release. And it's everything from a film historian audio commentary to actual interviews with cast and crew that were involved in the film as well. So it's a real stellar effort. And I think it's one of those kind of like hidden gems because I'd never heard of the movie prior. And then after watching Scream Pretty Peggy recently, I looked at the director's filmography and I was like, I'm pretty sure this has had a release locally or it's getting one. And
Yeah.
sure enough, I think it was coming out the next week. So yeah, Catacombs, that's my recommendation. It's widely available. I think there's 1,500 units of it out there. So maybe, seek it out sooner than later because otherwise you'll get disappointing emails from people like Sanity to say, we're still trying to get that copy of The Chalk Garden or Green Ice that you ordered 3 months ago. Don't worry, we're still trying. You're like, there's no way I'm getting Green Ice or The Chalk Garden. So just spend the money now and save the disappointment.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyway, gentlemen, that's it for me for this week.
Love it.
As always,
Yeah,
Stay
stay
physical.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
The Danielle Steele DVDs are out of sight, out of mind. Ben is no longer distracted. Thanks to Jared. It's good to have him back on the show. He certainly does it better than both of us, that's for sure.
Hey, speak for yourself.
Well, you do it fantastically. I do it abysmally.
It's fine.
Jarrett just is just the master.
He's straight to the point, Jarrett.
And doesn't appear to have notes. That's not to say he doesn't have notes, but he doesn't appear to have notes.
Doesn't appear to, no. He's worked out the teleprompter.
That's right.
Which we have not.
Alrighty, so as that suggests, it's Terrific TV Tuesday time.
It is. It is. What have you been watching, mate?
Well, not a lot. Been busy. Work's been fucking shit right now, and it's just hectic. Hitting burnout and breaking out all over the place. I've got skin rashes and whatnot. So
Gross.
I know. Remember that time I went pussy on the show?
You squirted it on me.
It's
I
back.
thought
It's
you were
coming back.
I thought you were happy, but it was just your eye.
It's coming back. Anyway, so I haven't watched a lot of TV, but one I did watch a couple of weeks ago that is worth a mention. It's a 3-part documentary series on Paramount Plus called Lola, the story of Lollapalooza, and it's fucking great.
Lollapalooza.
Yeah, the music festival, the biggest sort of alternative music festival in the world that's been going for 20-something years. It's just...
Never heard of it.
Are you serious? Okay.
I've heard of other paloozas.
I'm sure that you've all heard of Lollapalooza, hopefully. It essentially started as the farewell tour for Jane's Addiction, the band, and they decided instead of doing like just a tour with us, like let's bring our friends along, make it a festival. That one show then just was like absolutely colossal.
Yeah. And then some money men thought, hey, we can make some cash
no,
out of this.
the money. This is what the show, the doco goes into. The money men definitely come into it, but later. So they realized how much fun it was, and yes, it was successful, and clearly people wanted more. So the next year it got bigger and bigger. It just snowballed over the years, and then it really, really took off to the point that the money men came in. It changed its focus of what it should be. It went from being alternative to just pop and started bringing music in and kind of lost its core crowd. And it goes into all the politics and all the dynamics that were shifting over the years. It's got so many great talking heads. Perry Farrell, the lead singer of Jane's Addiction, who remained as like the CEO of Lollapalooza all through the years, minus I think 2 years where he sort of stepped away. He is on camera the whole time, and there's some great footage of him and Ice Cube and Ice-T and Henry Rollins, and like it's just a really fucking great look behind the curtain of how this was made. And a cool show because they've got all the music licensing. So from Rage Against the Machine to Nine Inch Nails to Ice-T, like it's got all of the music in there, and the performances are fantastic. And yeah, just to see that look of how the machine works, and then they did spin-offs where they went to Mexico and they did what they didn't mention in the doco, which I found out, is they did Kid Palooza, which was a kids version of it well. Just without the drugs, without all the nasty stuff.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Some of the talking heads include Trent Reznor and Tom Morello and Lars Ulrich and Ice-T and whatnot, and just really informative. If you
Ice Cube and Ice-T?
Yeah.
Together like never before?
That's right. The What comes first, the ice cube or the iced tea?
Yeah.
I don't know. Behind closed doors. So yeah, look, if you love music, particularly from that 90s era, they talk about the Seattle scene changing things as well, and how Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all that. Like Pearl Jam, I don't know if you might not know Lollapalooza, but you might know the famous footage of Eddie Vedder climbing the scaffolding and swinging from like fucking 30 meters in the air, and he comes down on a cable, like an electrical cord. It's just phenomenal. So that's all part of Lollapalooza and the chaos of it all. But yeah, it is on Paramount Plus. It's addictive. It's really, really worth a look. It's called Lola, the story of Lollapalooza.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. What about you?
I actually got down with some more retro TV.
Love it.
This week. I finally pulled out. I remember watching it as a kid. I don't know if it was on. It wasn't on as afternoon TV. It must have been morning TV. But I bought the DVD box set 5 years ago, and I'd had it downloaded long before then too, and I just never got around to watching it. And finally, I did. And it's the Tripods. Do you remember the Tripods?
Yeah.
Based on
I've never seen it.
Based on the novels by John Christopher, I think. And the novels outrage me because they're young adult novels. And I want to get the audiobooks just to listen to them, but they're like full price, but they only go for like 2 hours. And you're like, this is a fucking rip-off, Audible. This is a rip-off. I can buy a book that goes for 18 hours or 23 hours, and I have to pay the same price for one that goes for 2. That's just me. That's just a little personal little bugbear.
Yeah, I can tell.
For the Audible management team that listen to this show every week. But it's pretty fucking great. Yeah. Like I do quite enjoy these British series from the late 70s, early 80s. And this one, the Tripods, basically it's a post-apocalyptic. It's set in a post-apocalyptic England, but everything's kind of been sent back to the kind of Middle Ages, I guess. Except that all humans get capped. They get this metal kind of cap that goes on their skull. It sits under their hair, that removes all imagination, will to resist.
Wow, it's very Philip K. Dick meets Orwell.
They're kind of, everyone just has a nice, even, happy existence.
Yep.
Doing whatever, not resisting the Tripods. And the Tripods are basically these giant alien robots that wander around on 3 legs. And
right. Is it H.G. Wells based?
No, it's this guy John Christopher wrote these novels.
Right. Okay. So, but are the Tripods sort of influenced by War of the Worlds?
No.
Okay. Interesting name to give them if they're alien.
Yeah, I mean, they look, because they're tripods, they kind of look a bit similar.
And called tripods.
But more to the, not to the movie version, not to the original War of the Worlds movie version, maybe the Tom Cruise one.
Okay.
But this is years before that.
Yeah. Sure.
Whereas the original movie one, they didn't really look like that. But
anyway.
And basically, the series follows these 2 boys who, because you get capped. You have a capping kind of ceremony when you turn 17, and these 2 boys are 16, and they don't want to be capped. And there are these people who I think they're called the Undesirables. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they haven't been capped and have no role in society, and they live on the outskirts.
Fringe dwellers.
Yeah, they're fringe dwellers. They're all dirty and
This is very archetypal. I love the sound of this. It's really my kind of thing.
And then, so they're kind of panicking about being capped, and they don't want to be capped. And then they meet this kind of outsider who tells them that he's just in disguise as one, and he knows of this place in the White Mountains, which is, they have to travel across the sea to France and go into the mountains where there's a place where no tripods, the tripods don't know about, and people are free.
Yep.
And so they decide to run away and undertake this journey.
Cool.
It's pretty cool, and they do actually, in episode, because there's 2 seasons. There are 3 books and then a prequel, and the series is based on the first 2 books.
Okay,
but they go at one point when they're in France, they do actually walk through the destroyed kind of civilization. It's all green screen, and they're all way too small or way too big, but they do go through the rubble of the Arc de Triomphe and see the Eiffel Tower and stuff. But
I'm looking at images now.
yeah,
It looks
they don't know
fantastic.
what any of that stuff is.
It's got a
all
very
just
because of its era. It's kind of got a sort of almost a Doctor Who vibe.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate. And like famous 5 is Doctor Who by the photos.
Yeah, totally. It's really good. Like it's up there with the Day of the Triffids
Yep.
BBC TV series, which is so much better than the original movie, and then the new series, which I've got to try and watch again. The one with Eddie Izzard and Jason Priestley, and Dougray Scott is the lead of it.
Oh, really?
Dougray Scott and who's Lady Chatterley?
Oh,
The Richardson that's not wasn't married to
Yeah,
Jolie Richardson
Jolie,
is the
that's it, yep.
is the other lead. But yeah, look, yeah, really good. I think it was pretty cheap. Like the series is pretty cheap on Amazon, so you can buy it. I think you could probably see clips of it and stuff on YouTube if the whole series isn't up there.
I was just looking. At one point in time, Don Murphy was looking to produce a theatrical film with Alex Proyas as director.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
I think it would. I don't know what you would do with it as a movie. I suppose you could, but I think it works pretty well as a TV
If
series.
you did it as a movie, would it fall into that, Hunger Games, Divergent kind of realm? Would it become a teen kind of thing?
Look, I'm not far enough into it.
Yeah, right. Like, is there like a universe that could be built across a franchise?
I think so.
Yeah.
Look,
Sweet.
very possible. It could definitely kind of do that.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was kind of I've been meaning to get back to it for a long time.
Yep.
And this week I was like, now you know what? Fuck it, I've got to force myself to do it. And I was like 2 minutes into that first episode, I'm like, this is fucking great.
This will be me in a few years' time, and I'm like, you know what? That Danielle Steele box set, I finally got to it.
But I tell you, I shit you not. I went on Tuesday. I went to JB Hi-Fi to try and pick up the Jensen code that I talked about on last week's show, and they hadn't put them out yet. And that was because I couldn't watch that. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll put on Tripods then.
Thank you, Jensen.
And then I put on a couple episodes of Tripod, and they're like, go and rewatch the entirety of Day of the Triffids, and then back to Tripods again.
Life is hard, and so am I. You better give me something so I don't die. For the soul, before I sputter out, before I sputter out. Life is white and I am black. Jesus and his lawyer are coming back. Oh, my darling, will you be here before I sputter out? Before I sputter out. Before I sputter out. Guess who's living here with the great undead? This paint by numbers life is fucking with my head once again. Life is good, and I feel great, 'cause mother says I was a great mistake. Novocaine for the soul. You better give me something to fill the hole before I sputter out. Before I sputter out. Before I sputter out. Before I
Novocaine for the Soul by the Eels. Great stuff. Good music, good company. What more can people want in a podcast, Ben? A little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
How about spiders?
Non-cinematic ramblings? Non-nerdy cinematic ramblings.
So, Kiah Roache-Turner's new movie is Sting, about a giant alien spider terrorizing a small apartment. It got me thinking about good spider movies. There aren't really that many. Like, you can probably count on one or two hands the good ones, and then there's obviously...
I certainly can't count further than 2 hands.
Because I'm thinking, obviously,
take my
the
shoes
go-to would be Arachnophobia. Then you got Eight-Legged Freaks, Big Ass Spider, which I think is a good movie. Kingdom of the Spiders.
Yeah.
Didn't mind that one a couple of years ago called Itsy Bitsy, but I can't really think beyond that other than really hokey, schlocky ones. And look, I'll throw in a notable mention to La Valantula just because it's Mike Mendez and Steve Guttenberg, and just that combination alone makes it good, even if it's not.
Isn't the creature in Ewok's Caravan of Courage a spider?
Yes. No, in Battle for Endor, I think it is.
Ah, right.
I think it's part 2 with the spider. Either way, yes. That's right. And as I think Harry Potter's got a really good spider, Lord of the Rings.
It does have a pretty good spider sequence.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, so but there's not many. And along comes Kiah with a new one that I think is pretty good. The production value on this one's excellent. It's all really self-contained.
Shot here?
All shot here. Aside from something which you'll get a kick out of when you listen to this conversation. It's hilarious. But yeah, have a listen to this. It's got Noni from Play School in it, for fuck's sake. Like, you can't go wrong.
Glenn,
Mate,
we meet again.
how's it going, mate?
It's good, man. It's good. We're releasing a giant spider movie, and I'm concurrently working on a giant shark movie. So, all hands on deck.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
I'm going through all the giant scary things.
Yeah, man. And speaking of giant scary things, you decided to dress like me. I think that's cool.
Or have you decided to dress like me?
I think we ran into this problem last time as well.
Yeah, we're clones. We're film nerds, man. We all look the same.
Far out. Let's talk about Sting. Firstly, I just got to say, putting Noni Hazelhurst into a horror film, like, kudos to you. That's awesome.
It was my absolute pleasure, man. I love Noni. I had a giant crush on her when I was a kid. Not that I told her that, but yeah, I was in love with her like for many, many years. I was very, very happy to finally get to work with her.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously she's had an illustrious career in television and film, but like, she's always the queen of Play School to me. Like, how did you feel like a kid, like, working with her? Did it take you right back? Did you regress?
I did. I was like, the whole time I was just like, please, can you tell me exactly what was behind the rocket ship? You know what I mean? But apparently what was behind the rocket ship was just a very, very professional, sick actor. Like, she's actually just one of the best actors in the country. Like, yeah, she was amazing to work with and a lot naughtier than I thought. She had a very ribald sense of humor, which I really loved.
She's been getting a lot naughtier over the last few years. I've noticed that.
Yeah, she doesn't care anymore, but man,
No.
she cares about the acting. Like, she's very good. Like, just, yeah, so good to work with. Like, and very funny. Like, just a very natural comedian. She can do drama, like comedy, horror, all of the things.
Yeah. Oh man, what was like? Was she easy to lure? Like, did it take much convincing to get her on board?
I don't remember having to convince her. Really, she had worked with Jamie and Ponton. Jamie Hilton and Michael Ponton on June Again. Mm-hmm. So, like, they'd had a very good experience. And when they came to her and just said, look, we've got this giant spider thing, Kiah's good to work with. She's like, sure, okay, tell me when to... She read the script and she's like, wait, so basically I have to sit on a couch and knit for 3 weeks? She's like, I'll be doing that anyway, Whereas Robin Nevin read the script and went, can't I have Noni's role? I'm like, no, Robin, we need to torture you for many, many. Every day you come on set, it's going to be a hard day for you.
Yeah, man. Like, speaking of Robin though, like, she fully commits to horror. Like, she was in Relic and really went hard on the horror, body horror stuff, particularly. What do you think appealed to both of them about this type of film, a creature feature?
Well, Robin needed convincing. Like, Noni's just armchair knitting, not a problem. Robin read the script and loved the script. She hates horror films, though. So I think the only reason she kind of did it was because she did sense that there was something a little deeper, and she saw some clever things in the script that she liked, and the drama was on point.
Yeah.
She liked the character, like it's a meaty, evil character to play. And I mean, anybody who knows Robin Nevin, like she loves to do big, dramatic, theatrical stuff. So like, I think she was looking forward to that. But it was important for her to get me on the phone and just talk her through like how we were going to do some things, because we were asking her to do some pretty outrageous, horrible things. But I just talked her through it and said, look, it's not as bad as you think, and it's mostly just trick angles and all of that stuff. But I have intense arachnophobia, which one would question why I would make this movie, but she's even worse. So she couldn't even look at the spider puppet that Weta made, like literally, like it wasn't a joke. She's like, don't put it anywhere near me. Like she was really disturbed by it, and I really enjoyed watching that.
Far out, man. Like, what compelled you to make a spider film if you're so arachnophobic?
Well, my job is to make scary films. So, like, literally, my job is to think of the worst thing that I can think of.
Yep.
And put that on the screen for you guys. And yeah, like one of the worst things that I could think of is like a giant spider the size of a bulldog that, you know, bites you, incapacitates you, drags you in an air conditioning duct and eats you slowly while you're paralyzed and can't do anything about it.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Just the image, because I just had a baby when I was making it. So the image of a giant spider like coming down onto a crib with a baby inside it, I'm just like, I've never seen that on screen before, and I'm like, I want to put that on screen.
It's such an amazing image too, and the movie is packed with those sort of great images.
I thought that should have been the poster, actually.
It would have been great. It would have been probably.
Don't get me wrong.
You got to be careful. People are very sensitive these days. You got to be careful. How phobic would you say you are in real life?
Yeah, like paralytic. Like if I see a spider, my first instinct is to just cry. So like. Yeah, I'm so scared of them that I have an inability to take an action. Like, yeah, it's there's something about like the little black thing with like 8 legs that's just really alien to me. Like, and I was hoping that making this would help me with my fear, but I mean, it didn't at all. Like, I'm still just as arachnophobic as I was before. Now I just have a movie about it.
When you're watching it in the cut, though, like, does it creep you out? Even though you were there behind the scenes, you know how how the magic was done, but was it a freakish
Not really,
experience?
because I know the puppet, you know, and I'm like, it's just like, oh, that's my little puppet guy. And I know that there's like 3 puppeteers who I had coffee with and another 3 puppeteers over there. And then there's the legend Joel from Weta from New Zealand who was like sort of bringing up the rear and like controlling the mandibles. And but I get a bit creeped out when you see the spider footage. There's a documentary and you see a spider eating a thing. And I'm just like, that really creeps me out. Or, I mean, the thing that creeps me out more actually than the puppet stuff is the stuff off screen, because my brain fills it in with a giant spider, and I'm actually more creeped out by the scenes where you don't see the spider, where I'm just thinking about it. But yeah, it's a rough film for me to watch. Like I made it, you know, I had to watch it 100 times. So yeah, it still creeps me out, you know. Yeah.
I shit you not. Like the next morning after I watched it, I had a huntsman on my windscreen in the car. So that's some good marketing for the publicist to take on board, you know, where their screenings, just while they're watching a movie, go and put spiders on their cars. Like, do wonders.
You have no idea how much it costs for us to put spiders on all of the film journalists' windows. But I'm glad it's working out. Somebody's doing their job.
That's right. Look, I'm just really glad that, you know, we've finally got a really good, decent spider movie, because it's been 34 years since Arachnophobia, which to me is the beacon of scary spider movies. It still holds up to this day. Clearly you have an affection for that sort of stuff too. But there is something, the reason I bring that up is because it's a Spielberg production, and your film has a very, very Spielbergian kind of quality to it.
Yeah.
Is that something you were aware of? Is that an influence you leaned into? What did you draw
100%.
influence from?
Yeah, 100%. Like I grew up watching like Poltergeist and Jaws in particular, and like he's the king of family drama, horror, comedy, whatever the hell, you know. But there's a Spielbergian genre where you've got like a family in crisis, and it's usually a messy family that's like there's some kind of divorce looming or some kind of cracks forming, but they all love each other and there's humor. Absent father. You know, monster enters or entity enters, and you know, hijinks ensue. And you know, he's a filmmaker who I like. Every time, like, he just raises the bar again and again and again and again and again. Like, it's not like he you know, he's the king of the spectacle, and that's what I like to do. You know, just on a smaller budget scale. You know, so Yeah, even when we were writing it, like, you know, I'd get notes, you know, just more Spielberg, more Spielberg, because we all knew what we were trying to do. We were trying to do kind of a, you know, like a poltergeisty kind of Jaws-y thing, you know, and it very much wears its influences on its sleeve in that respect, you know.
It's funny you mentioned Poltergeist, because I was thinking about really cool self-contained movies that take place in apartment complexes, and part 3 of Poltergeist is one of those movies that came to my mind. That's all.
I've never seen that. I've actually never seen.
It's all inside like
Poltergeist 3,
yeah, condiment building. Yeah. Anyway, it's
honestly, I was thinking more Alien in that regard, like single location, one monster, bunch of people getting eaten over time. Yeah. A creature that's going to incapacitate you in some kind of gooey substance and then do horrible things to you. You know, like, that's all very Alien. Even the design of a giant redback spider is kind of Geiger-esque, you know?
100%. But for a very self-contained story, you've made amazing use of all of the nooks and crannies that are inside these apartments and the floors and the levels. Was the film always self-contained from the get-go? Did you originally have a much larger scope with the original script?
Well, you know me, Glenn. I always start with a large scope and then we get smaller. I had scenes outside. And then at some point in the rewrites, we just kind of went, oh, come on, let's just put it all in one building. It'll be more like the Nostromo. That's cooler. And it'll cost less, you know. I think originally the part that Danny played, the scientist, the Korean, biology student, he was outside the building. He was originally Charlotte's teacher. But anyway, it was all convoluted. But they always start bigger and then they shrink by design, you know. But I think it was right to do it all in one location. I think that I'm a big fan of the single location horror.
Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming you shot all of that in studio in Australia. Was there any American production involved? Like, those exterior shots were gorgeous, and I'm trying to figure out whether they were studio, whether they were on location. Where was that?
I don't know. This is all just like Shutterstock stuff, man. Like, I shouldn't be giving it away, but we just went online and I went that shot.
Amazing. I love it.
Put a meteor into that shot. And, I did that for Necrotronic. So Necrotronic was ostensibly set, in Australia, but all the external stuff was
brilliant.
I think buildings in Toronto, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that stuff going on in indie filmmaking these days.
Yeah, 100%.
We can't afford. We talked about it, and we were like, I mean, Jamie even looked into going. I got mates in New York. We'll get a skeleton crew. They'll just put a drone up. And I mean, we had those discussions, and eventually it was just like, what did you say about the Shutterstock, whatever it was, And we just went on and just got it online. It's just easier for everybody.
Done effectively, I can tell you.
Thank you,
really
sir.
Well placed.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and we shot it. We did shoot it in a studio in Artarmon. Actually, weirdly, the old ABC studios where they shot Play School. So Noni was wandering around going like, "That's where the Red Rocket was," And she was laughing her head off.
Is John still alive? Was he wandering? I don't know. He might have passed away.
We didn't see him.
The ghost of John. Look, as a horror fan, like, one thing that I think that is undervalued is the power of a jump scare. I think a lot of people really dismiss jump scares as cheap tricks, but I'm not one of those. I think they're very effective. But what you've managed to do in this one is combine jump scares with tension and suspense in a really cool way. And that's kind of a fundamental difference between Wormwood and this. In Wormwood, you could just throw blood on something and you please your audience. With this one, they're a harder crowd to please with suspense.
Yeah.
Was it nerve-wracking and difficult, and how do you know when suspense works?
This is the first film where I've actively and properly worked on trying to do jump scares, and I think I got 50% there.
More.
I'm still looking into the philosophy and the science of jump scares, and it's not just a cheap trick. It is really hard to do it right. Mm-hmm. I think I got halfway there. I got a few good ones, but weirdly, the biggest moment still is just the spider crawling in the mouth. Spoiler alert.
My God, yeah.
And that's not a jump scare. That's just a horrible, horrible thing that we did really well. And it's funny. Yeah. We've got a few really decent jump scares in there, but I'm like, I reckon I can do better, And but it's really good because some of them do work, and it's great to go in audiences and see people's popcorn explode.
Yeah.
And, people grabbing their partners and screaming. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we got there, No, I love a good jump scare, man. Yeah, and it was really fun to kind of work on those. And a lot of it is tension, misdirect, explosive misdirect. So the thing has to come from a place where you don't think it's coming. It's a real art. They're really hard to do.
I imagine it's like writing a good joke. Like, it's a punchline essentially, and when it's done well, it's done really well. I reckon you're selling yourself short. I think you've done more than 50% with the jump scares. Like, it's an effective jump movie.
Thanks, Glenn. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for saying that. That's
not
good.
blowing smoke up your ass either. I actually mean it.
I don't care if it's smoke, truth, lie. That just felt good. That made me happy, man. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Movie criticism magic, right there. Smoke.
Yes.
And mirrors.
Yes.
Are you more nervous with about an audience's reaction with a movie like this as opposed to Wormwood? Like, is it because this is not gratuitous violence, just for shits and giggles. This is really scary stuff. So, what is the test audience like for this? If you have a test audience?
Yeah, it was really hard for me because I'm used to making films that are like more action horror.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot more comedy. So I'm used to more sounds and laughter and like reaction from the audience.
Yeah.
So to have I've made a film where there's like long like periods where the audience isn't saying anything. And sometimes I get to the end of a screening and think, oh, did I make a bad movie? And then people would grab me and go, that was mad. I love that. That was awesome. And I'm like, really? You weren't making too many sounds? They're like, what sound am I going to make? I'm horrified. You know what I mean? So the sound of horror sometimes is the sound of silence. But, there's enough screams and enough laughs, to keep you going. But, yeah, it's a different film for me, Like, it was interesting to make something that, like, dared to just be a drama for, like, 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, all of my other films just have, like, a, fist in face kind of, just constant through line. Whereas this one, there's long silences. And I think if you're trying to make decent horror, like you have to ride out those silences, to get to the scream. So it's been really satisfying and scary to make a film like that,
Wow, kudos, man. It's fucking great. How soon had you moved on to this after Apocalypse? Was this when you spoke to me last time, were you holding out on me with this one?
Oh, dude, I don't think so. I can't remember. What year did we talk after Apocalypse? Like 2019?
Yeah, it was getting a Monster Fest screening. We were promoting that, and
I was holding out on you, man. I had that in my back pocket. Like I think by that point I had written it, but I was still trying to work out if I don't think Hilton and Ponton and C Pictures had agreed to make it yet, but I definitely had it in my back pocket and I was hoping to make it. I think I actually wrote Sting before I wrote Wormwood Apocalypse, but because it was something that was like at a certain budget, I'd taken it to a bunch of producers and they just went, we don't have the budget to make this. Like, you're an Australian filmmaker, write something with a smaller budget. And then Jamie came and he goes, I don't know if we have the budget for this, but this is awesome. Like, let's make this, let's try. And they were right. We could make it. Yeah. Awesome. The marketplace accepted it.
You're not holding out on me this time because out of the gate you were like, I'm making a big shark movies. So now I want to know about that. What are you allowed to talk about that at all?
Yeah. It's called Beast of War. Like, I'm in pre-production. I'm a couple of weeks away from filming.
Of course, I've seen the test poster and stuff. Yeah.
This is me doing like a weird little Australian version of the SS Indianapolis speech from Jaws. Like the HMAS Armidale went down in 1942 between Darwin and East Timor, and a bunch of Aussies got eaten by sharks. I'm not really making that. It's not a historical thing. Like, I'm making, this is Wormwood with sharks, man. Like, I'm just making a balls to the wall insane. I'm going back to my roots. Like, I sort of got to the end of Sting and I was like, well, I've almost made a classy film. Like, I need to clear my palate and make something insane again. So, like, I'm going back to that. And then after that, I'm looking to make probably another thing like Sting, So I think what I'll try and do is I'll make a classy thing and then just a crazy comic book thing and then just rinse, repeat, Like, I would love that, and then I'll die happy.
Oh, we would all love that, mate. That's about it from me. Like, thank you so much for having a chat, but just making the kind of movies I love. Like, I talk to lots of filmmakers and I don't necessarily love all the things they do, but you're different, sir. I do enjoy everything.
Oh, Glenn, you say the nice things. But yeah, there's me and you, and like there's a whole subsection of audience that is just us, people who came up watching Spielberg and enjoying Alien, and like that's who I make films for. And I just hope that the young people like them too. They do seem to like them, so I think they might let me do a couple more.
Well, all those young'uns need is a hat like this and some glasses like this and some facial hair, and they're in the club.
We shall teach them. we shall teach them our Jedi ways.
Thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. Always good to talk to you, man.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size, and this week Chad picked it out, so blame him.
Yeah, so I was watching a movie, and this is going to be my pick for this episode, that had one of the best monologues I have ever heard in a movie. Now, the movie itself may not be of top cinema, but the monologue is haunting. So I was like, what are some of the best monologues we have heard in a movie? So guys, I wanted to know what you all thought. So Joe, do you have one? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. There are so many, and I was having a really hard time when we came up with this. Chad pitched this to us just a few minutes ago, and then sometimes we make these up things really quick. I actually wanted to, because we did a Tarantino written script. I'm going to continue with Tarantino, and there's tons of great monologues in Tarantino scripts, like the monologue that Dennis Hopper does to Christopher Walken in True Romance. That's fantastic. It's one of the best ones. But the one I want to talk about is Inglourious Basterds, Hans Landa at the first of the movie, when he's talking about hunting and who he's hunting, and he's a detective, when he's in the little French hut, and everything you need to know about how he is a bad guy. I'm not getting any reaction out of you two.
No, that's a real good
That's
one.
actually the one I was thinking of. Is why you didn't get a reaction. Now I'm scrambling to find another one.
You should do True Romance, because the monologue that Dennis Hopper does as he's insulting Christopher Walken, it's right once again talking about a group of people, racism, but it is some fantastic writing. Go ahead.
Well, while James looks for one, I'll do mine, and oddly enough, it does have a racism element to it too.
Don't read much into this, Australia.
And honestly, too, and what's funny about this is I had this picked long before, but Joe actually kind of alluded to it in the recording that we just did for another fun size segment. It is from the movie Red State, Michael Parks' sermon to his cult. It is one of the most haunting, disturbing segments I've ever seen in a monologue, and it is a long monologue. I mean, I want to say the runtime for this monologue is 5 to 6 minutes long in length, and I mean, he doesn't skip a beat. I mean, and he has it perfectly paced. Each beat is down. He starts out it starts out as a normal sermon, like, God is great, but then as he gets progressively into it, it becomes more and more dark. And then more hate starts to spew. And then finally, at the end, it becomes something even darker, which I won't spoil it for those who have, because this is one of those lesser known Kevin Smith. And yes, it is written and directed by Kevin Smith. And if you listen to our podcast, especially if you go further back, you may hear an episode of me saying that this is one of his more shittier films. And I completely take that back. I wish I had never said that, because I only watched it once and was completely let down. I actually watched it recently and said, man, it's actually pretty good. I wish I never said that.
I think it's good too. It's slightly uneven.
Yes.
But the good parts outweigh it. And actually, there's another monologue I love in that movie even more. And it's John Goodman at the end talking about faith.
Yes.
And how faith can destroy everything. I mean, he doesn't say that, but it's basically about a dog and faith and a bone.
Yeah.
And it's
two dogs.
It's extremely accurate. And that's your effing faith will destroy everything.
You know what? I'm going to go with a very brief monologue, but it's still one of my favorites, since Joe took the one I was thinking of, because I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
That's the number one monologue if you Google.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, but the fact that it was Rutger Hauer made it up. It was not scripted that way. He made it up, and nobody really knows where the Tannhauser Gate is still, but it pops up in other films and other things now. They'll refer to Tannhauser Gate, and it's all Rutger Hauer just filling time. But
according to Rutger Hauer,
D-beams. Now, I'm pretty sure Ridley Scott
said, "Yeah, no, that's what happened."
I think they're all in on it.
Right, Ridley Scott, known for giving tons of other people credit.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's a really iconic scene, and that monologue sets it up, because you go through the entire movie, and at the first time I watched it, thinking of it as a pure action movie, I thought there'd be this epic showdown, and there is, but there's also not. There's something about inevitability in that conversation, and that it captures it really well. And the fact that it's all moot, it's all gone, kind of ties into that idea of what faith means or what your beliefs mean and what survives you or what doesn't. It's a great monologue from Rutger Hauer in Blade Runner.
This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Side.
Boneheads. Thank you, Boneheads. That's a good subject. Monologues in movies. There's been some doozies over the years. What do you have a favorite monologue in a movie? It's a tricky one. Like when I spring a question on you like that, you really got to think. And the one that came to my mind was Kevin Costner in JFK. I think that's a fucking epic. It's like almost a half an hour monologue. And if you watch the making of that, he did it all in one take, which is just phenomenal.
Outrageous. Can someone say something after a monologue?
Yeah,
like how long does a monologue have to go?
Well, I mean, you can have I think even in Ace Ventura, like, I'm ready to go in, coach. Just give me a chance. I think that's a small monologue.
A monologue, yeah.
I guess it's just
Is Sean Connery's he sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Or is that a line?
But there's a whole bit.
Yeah, there is too. I guess a monologue can only be the one character. It's got to be a contained piece of dialogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, great subject. I'm sure they'll explore that on other episodes. But True Romance, as they pointed out, was a great one with the Christopher Walken, Dennis Hopper scene. Fucking great. Tarantino does some bangers. But anyway, we're up to that part of the show where we start to wind it down and we recommend something for people to watch. And if you get time to watch these, hit us up on social media. Let us know what you thought of these. I'm going to let Ben go first on this one, I think.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's not like we discussed it beforehand. Thank you for letting me. I watched a movie from 1945 called Lady on a Train this week, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was I do like a good train.
How many girls,
mystery.
ladies, females on the trains have there been?
Yeah, well, funny enough, the best one is The Lady Vanishes, and it doesn't even have train in the title. But this one's kind of like a Nancy Drew type mystery. It came out, Kino released it on Blu-ray as part of a kind of forbidden film noir box set that they released about 5 or 6 years ago. And it stars Deanna Durbin she's a kind of like she's like a rich girl who's traveling from San Francisco to New York, where she's being met by someone from the New York office. They never really tell you what her father does for a living or anything like that, just that she's being met by a guy from the New York office, and that's the only way he identifies himself, like when he's talking to anyone. Even to the police and stuff, he's like, "Yeah, I'm from the New York office." Of what? They never say. And it's got some quite kind of comedic moments in it. But while she's on the train,
is that a joke though?
Yeah, like it's a running gag through the film. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
it's not like the writers just don't explain it. It actually
like they don't. Yeah. But it's a gag. Yeah. But while she's on the train traveling to New York, just before they pull into Grand Central Station, she witnesses a guy, an old man, being murdered in the window of a building they're passing by. And when she gets into New York, she goes to the police to try and report the crime, but they see that she's like reading a mystery novel, and no one's reported a murder or anything like that. And so they think she just must be hysterical. And no murder happened, and because I forgot to actually mention, it's a Christmas movie. And so it's Christmas time, and the cops are like, look, everyone goes crazy at Christmas. We've got other things to do, and they could totally dismiss her. So she actually tracks down the author who wrote the mystery novel that she's reading and decides he's going to help me solve the crime. He, of course, could not care less. He's just trying to write his...
we're heading into Argyle territory here.
He's writing his own kind of Christmas novel, his own a new murder mystery, and he's got his fiancée to kind of take care of and stuff. But she is pretty dogged in tracking it down. And then she sees a news report of a millionaire being killed, and she goes, "That's the guy." And like a whole stream of like really weird things kind of happen in it, and it's really great. She gets to sing a couple of she impersonates because this millionaire dies and she goes to the reading of the will, and they think that she's his showgirl fiance that he's only had for a couple of months and hasn't introduced to anyone else in the family, and she inherits the lot, and they all think it's her. But then she goes to the nightclub where the fiance sings to kind of confront her and find out more, and no one bats an eye when she locks the fiance in a cupboard and then pretends to be her and goes out and sings a couple of numbers at the
very cool
and no one bats an eye. It's a lot of fun. Like, it is definitely a kind of a lost classic if you like your kind of 40s film noir type.
And I'm always
type
looking for a new Christmas movie.
And like it's some great Christmas, some great Christmassy bits in it.
Great.
And it's also like the part I love most about these kind of movies is New York at that time. Whenever especially in movies, I don't know how it was in real life, but they've got all these really cool like nightclubs that are themed. Like, so there's the Candy Cane nightclub, and the one she works at the fiance works at one called the Circus, where it's all themed.
I wish we had more
like
of those.
Like a kind of like a circus kind of thing.
Luau's about the only one we got.
Yeah, it's the only themed kind of restaurant we have, and that not even the train. We've got those train carriages on the thing, and
we did
inside. They're not really.
We had
themed.
Dracula's, but it wasn't really like it was a restaurant. It wasn't
That's a dinner theatre. It's not. We did
club
have
or
that. Remember the ice bar that was on
yeah,
Chapel
yeah.
Street?
Oh no, there's still one there. It's relocated. I think it is in Federation Square now.
They wouldn't even need to spend any money on air conditioning at the moment.
That's right.
Without being
Just
-1
leave
degrees.
the doors open.
Yeah.
All right. So my recommendation is a movie that I think a lot of us have been anticipating. I certainly have. It's the new Beverly Hills Cop.
Axel F.
Axel F, which I dislike that from the get-go. I reckon it should have just been Beverly Hills Cop 4. Because that then, if you've got a collection, it goes, the spines will all line up. Although this is Netflix, will it have a physical release is another thing. Hope it does. But look, I've been looking so forward to this, and I've got to say, there is a lot of things I could really rip into and pick apart, which I'll probably mention, but I can forgive them because I think this is a really fun comeback movie. I think it's a legacy sequel that actually has a right to exist. Like, it actually, I think, is a great continuation. I think the characters come back. I don't think it's too tokenistic the way they come back. I think it all works. I think having Jeffrey as like the chief, even though Jeffrey in the original, which is the Paul Reiser character in the original movies, he was incompetent, right? So he's not in this. He's actually the chief.
Well, and perfect to be the chief.
But he's had 40 years to kind of, get to this point. So I'll forgive him.
But the problem is there's not one person in this film aside from the two kids who shouldn't be retired. Like, they're all way too old.
Yes.
To be in the jobs they're in.
But they do kind of play into that, particularly Taggart. He's on his meds and he's always complaining about his back and stuff like that. I got a kick out of that. I mean, he was old to begin with, I always thought. Yeah. I always thought he was near retirement age back
he and Ronnie Cox were the experienced
yeah, that's right.
Police officers.
I thought Eddie Murphy was back in sharp, fine form. I thought his gags were great. And obviously this is very much fan service. It's playing heavily into the tropes that we wanted. And that's the thing. When you criticize fan service, the point of it is they're trying to appease what people want because people are crying, hey, it's not like the original, it needs to be this. And then they go and do exactly, what the people want, and then people show.
And then other people complain. Yeah, because you can't please everyone.
No, but I think the fan service in this is a little heavy-handed. However, there's a lot of fresh stuff in here to sort of override it, and I think it's forgivable.
Yeah. I thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity. I kind of... I mean, look, and who knows if my idea would have worked or anything like that. But I thought it would have been smarter to make Axel the chief of police and his daughter the rogue cop.
Well, but they've done that on television, haven't they? The TV show Beverly Hills Cop was all about the son.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the TV show.
Yeah.
But at least then she could pull him out and turn him back into Axel.
Yeah.
Like, get him out of his authoritarian
I guess so.
Because otherwise, without that, not one character has changed at all. Like, there's no character arc. No one has grown.
Well,
and the other thing was, like, they keep doing these, with and I quite like the actress who plays the daughter. She was in Zola.
Yep.
Taylor Page.
I found a character really, really fucking frustrating and annoying. I didn't mind in the end when it comes full circle, but I'm like, she held on to her grudge for too long. It was really pissing me off, and the banter about the strange relationship was a bit heavy-handed as well.
Yeah, look, I think by the time you're in your 30s, you should be over that
mature
shit.
enough to fucking just
like totally get it when you're in your teens and your parents have your father's uprooted you and for your own safety. By the time you're 30, you're like, okay, I hated you at the time, but now I understand why you did it.
Yeah,
and we may not be close, but I don't actively hate you.
Yeah.
But the traits of his that they keep are not the fun ones. Like, I mean, I do like the parts when she spoils his bits.
Yeah.
When he's trying to bullshit to people, and she's just like makes it even harder for him. But she doesn't kind of really.
Well, the best throwback trait of his, I think, comes right in the very final scene when he hops in the back of the car with them. Like, that was a great little reenactment. And there's a lot of reenactment in this. Like, even when he rocks up to the mansion, to break in, and you've got the same sort of stone column fence and stuff. I'm like, man, they're really doing the callbacks here, which was fine. What I found interesting, and look, it sounds like I'm really.
And they even gave Kevin Bacon a dodgy accent.
Sounds like I'm being really critical, but I did love it. I watched it with the family. We all got a massive kick out of it. So, like, my criticisms are just, you can just brush them off the table and just watch this movie, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, it is. Look, it is what it is.
Yeah, I like the musical throwbacks. I like the bringing the score back in. They brought all the fucking songs back.
They brought all the songs back.
And like reenacting the start with the truck. That's essentially in the original. It's all fun, and the action's really well choreographed. I like, what's his name? Fucking Love Hewitt or whatever. Gordon Joseph Levitt. Yep.
Look, I would say the real big problem I had with it is that now the distinction between Detroit and Hollywood is non-existent. When he's not a fish out of water anymore.
No, but he's returned to Hollywood at the start of the film, reenacting when he enters Hollywood in the first movie. Yeah. The juxtaposition between the characters that he sees in the first movie and this one, like we were talking about this on the couch, is like Sean, my son, said to me, like, I can't believe like how weird those people are in Hollywood. I'm like, think about how weird they were in the 80s when they did it. It's the same shit, different decade. And that's kind of a bit of an unspoken truth. Like, it's just fucking, it's a land full of weirdos and fucking eccentrics.
Yeah, but now so's everyone. Thanks to the old internet, none of those things are a surprise anymore.
Yeah.
Like it was A Stranger in a Strange Land, the original one.
Yep.
Like a real duck out of water tale. And there was no sense of Beverly Hills as a character in the film.
But the kind of running gag here is he's now essentially part of the fabric of Hollywood, of Beverly Hills. What else I got to say about this one?
And I thought they could have used the two female cops a bit more too.
That was his daughter, one of those.
His actual daughter?
Yeah, his real daughter. Right. He's got about 20 kids, so like they're probably all scattered in there.
Is that the one who thinks Pluto Nash is his best film?
That's me. What a weird cameo sort of in the second half of the film. I won't give it away, but there's a helicopter crash and there's a golf scene. I'll let you put I'll figure out there is a cameo there. I don't understand, other than I know Netflix is producing a movie coming up that this particular character is going to be in.
Right.
And to have him in Beverly Hills Cop just felt weird.
How weird is Balky?
Oh my God, yeah.
Balky's looking odd.
Not as weird as he was in part 3. And that's another interesting thing. Like, so they've almost, other than having a brief throwaway line reference in number 3 in this one, not your finest hour, you got to think back to number 3. Billy was the chief in that movie.
Yeah, right.
He was the chief of police. His character had smartened up. He was a suit. And back this one, he's back to the original Billy. So they kind of just rewritten that. And Balky, whatever his name is, fucking, what's his name? Serge. He was a...
Close the chest.
He was an ammunition salesman in part 3.
Yeah.
He had the musical machine gun.
He's got the weird gun. But I think they did him a real disservice. They did pour, because he does audiobooks and stuff now, so he doesn't sound like that at all. But they really did him a disservice because they made the Joseph Gordon-Levitt character have just a normal name.
Yeah.
And when he tries to do the Akmal, Axwal, they gave him nothing to work with, and it just, just give that guy a weird name, just so he can do his bit.
Oh shit. Anyway, there we go. I did enjoy it thoroughly. I didn't mind any of the throwbacks. It's free. It's on Netflix. Go watch it if you have an account.
It's like a non-stop action too. Like it's pretty. It doesn't really let up on the action.
It felt like an old-fashioned Jerry Bruckheimer, Don Simpson kind of movie
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
And I feel for me, it's a nod to sudden death right at the start of the film.
Oh.
The Van Damme film. It's all in the ice hockey thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And Lethal Weapon 3.
Oh, how good was the guy playing against him in the hockey?
Yeah. He goes, what's he call for help? He goes, you better make the call. Hey, honey, I'm solving a crime with Axel. No! The police. Oh, sorry, gotta go. Helping Axel.
I got a massive kick out of that. Anyway, There we go. That brings us to the end of the show. Good way to go out on an action-packed funny movie that we kind of do and don't disagree.
That
agree on.
everyone can see. Look, I did. It's not that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't need to see it.
I did. I'm a sucker for
I
sequels.
like it. Like of all the franchises that they could continue with.
Well, mind you, who are they
I don't
pitching
really
this
wanna
one
see
at? Because
any of them.
none of the Gen Y would even have a clue what even Beverly Hills Cop is. So who are they pitching this one
No.
at?
And they wouldn't understand the whole thing of Beverly Hills Cop.
No. So like, it's definitely it's the rusted on fans, which is probably why it's better off on Netflix than going theatrical. Stands a better chance of having a little bit of longevity. All right, mate, we're going to wrap this show up. Anything else you want to add before we scoot? Every week he's going to draw this one out a little bit longer, or he's buffering. It's coming.
Nope.
Oh, it's like a perfectly roasted fart. There it is. Gonna leave you
mentally constipated.
Leave you with a song called "Being Caught Stealing," classic from Jane's Addiction.
It doesn't hurt when the ideas come out. It just takes them longer to get there.